Jason Levin here, Chief Gratitude Officer for the 2025 Relationships to Infinity Gratitude Challenge. I am here with Scott Love, who's the president of the Attorney Search Group, multiple time author, podcast host. Grateful that you could be here with us, Scott.
Thank you, Jason. I'm glad to be here, and thank you for the invitation.
Pleasure. So, we're talking about gratitude in all its forms. What's been your journey to gratitude? And knowing you, you've gone through some adversity. So when you think of gratitude, what has it taught you over the years?
Well, I think the first experience I have was hearing my grandmother being grateful, even in our prayer of thanks before dinner. Grateful. Thank you for this meal. And so I think when you grow up with that as a big part of your life, it changes your perspective. And then as I got older, we can talk about this a little bit. I was actually able to take gratitude into a recovery tool in my business and other areas of my life.
Wow. So let's start with grandma. So
Yeah.
um, how would she introduce the gratitude for the meal? Was it something that just came naturally from her? Give me a little background.
I think it was. I think just with where she came from, I mean, she was part of the generation where I think she got married in 1935. I mean, these were people that grew up with nothing. And if you remember people that were from that generation and a lot of them aren't around anymore, they would save everything. They were grateful for everything that they had. And I
Yeah,
think with us, lower middle class Americans, they live like kings and queens from the dawn of society. And I think we forget that, how much we really
no,
have and how
right.
grateful. I mean, my goodness, how deep do you want to go? Are you grateful for
Sure.
running water? Are you
Right.
grateful for electricity? And we had friends in Texas when they had all the power shut down and the freezing
Sure.
cold. You become grateful for the bare necessities. So I think with her, it came from her generation.
Yeah. No, that's a wonderful perspective. Having recently been in Asheville, North Carolina with my in-laws, this time last year they were without running water because of the
Yeah,
floods. So
yeah,
I think you're speaking to something really foundational. So that's a
yeah.
wonderful perspective.
And if we
So
look at the things that have happened just in the last 15, 20, 30 years, the world can change in an instant. We don't know when the next natural or man-made disaster is going to occur. And so I think, and sometimes I've even wondered, what if chaos was the norm? What if chaos was the way life was really going to be? And for most of our lives, we've been kind of lucky with relative peacefulness and tranquility in the world. So I think when you get down to the whole point of going to bed grateful for a full belly and nothing else counts, I think it just really kind of resets things.
yeah, that is such a great reset, just to be appreciative of all the foundational things we have, food, water, shelter, all those kinds of things. How have you brought that mentality and mindset to your work?
Well, in my business, I recruit partners and sometimes I get lucky and come across merger opportunities. And I used to do a lot of coaching and training for recruiters. And one of them, I remember one lady, I was coaching her and she had a $50,000 placement fee. And another one, two of them were going to close and neither one closed. And she said, I feel like I lost $100,000. And I said, well, that's because you spent the money in your head. Don't do that. And there's never any sense of entitlement. But for a lot of people, they get close to the sale, they get close to the deal closing, and they start getting all excited when we really have nothing. And so I think for me, at least in my business, there's a metric I use just for my own practice called the time to recovery. If I have a deal that didn't fall apart for whatever reason, how quickly can I get back on the phone? And I think high performers in any industry, they're able to perform at a peak performance level even when they don't feel like it. And a lot
Right.
of times your world isn't perfect. And so one of the things I did, it's a recovery tool I came up with. And a lot of it's rooted in Stoic thought or even in my own Christian faith about being grateful, what's your source of strength, things like that. But when a catastrophe occurs, whether it's a significant catastrophe or a deal just didn't close, I have these exercises that I use to kind of bring me back to that state of mind. And I think gratitude can be used as a refocusing tool. And so the first question I ask myself is this: who loves me? My wife, and sometimes my kids. And
Right,
who
right.
who do I love? My wife and sometimes my kids. And then what are those things I'm truly grateful for? And I go pretty deep: food, clothing, water, shelter, opportunity, existing clients, existing deals. How bad is it really? And so for me, the questions that I ask in terms of gratitude kind of refocus my vision and help me to channel it in a healthy way. And I found a lot of times, even journaling, my wife and my daughter and I have a journal and we talk about journaling. And I found that if you go to bed at night and you write down everything that you're stressed about, write it down, and then what are you grateful for? You sleep a lot better at night. So that's how I found that gratitude as a concept can be a tactical tool to recovery.
I love how you're looking at this as a process, that adversity and things not going your way are bound to happen.
Absolutely
And
right.
because you know that they're bound to happen, and you know that, I mean, who doesn't like it when there's a rejection or you have a deal that's about to happen and it doesn't, you're a human being. And so
Absolutely right.
you've come out this outline and this
Yeah.
approach so that you can recover from that. That's based in gratitude.
And the one thing we always have control over is how we interpret events, how we choose to respond. In sixth grade, there were two boys that beat me up in the back of the bus. And I didn't know to stand up to a bully. I was the skinny little kid. And I remember
Right.
telling myself, I'm going to do something about that. So I saved up my lawn mowing money, $35, and ordered the Charles Atlas System of Personal Development. If you remember that when you were a kid, you read it in the back of the comic books. And I did all the exercises, physical fitness. And I remember writing goals that I'd written down when I was 12 years old. And I'd forgotten about that. And then I remember going through some of my mom's things, and in one of her trunks, I found the forms and the sheets where I remember, Jason, I remember reading the very first goals I'd ever written down when I was 12 years old. The first one was build muscles. Goal number two was get the girls to like me. And those are my very
Right.
first two goals. And I remember at that time with that program and the confidence, the mindset, the physical fitness, I developed a little bit more athleticism. I began setting goals for myself in school. And I found that there's a causal relationship between our intention and our effort and the results that we get. And I started taking a shot, go higher. Wow, I hit that goal. I'm going to shoot even higher. And then in high school, I'm going to go to the toughest military college in the world, military school in the world. And I got in and I graduated. And so was it good or was it bad that I was bullied in the back of the bus in sixth grade? It depends on how you choose to interpret those events. And so if you look at it at that particular chapter in time, that's a tragedy. That's awful. But if you flip through the pages without that experience, I don't know if I would have taken the actions that helped me grow to who I am. So for that, and for those boys, I'm truly grateful for that. I've forgiven them. I hope I get to meet them someday and say, thank you for that. So anyways, so
Yeah.
there's a lot that you can take out of that.
There is a lot you can take out of that because you actually wrote it down.
Yeah,
And the act of writing things down goes from the amygdala, the emotional, to the logical. And you're reframing
mhm,
actions in a way that are founded in gratitude. So I
yeah,
love the fact that you're setting goals at 12 years old.
yeah,
You got into the Naval Academy,
yeah,
and now you're a successful business owner, author, podcast host because of this habit that you
yeah.
have based in gratitude.
That's
Scott
right.
Love, this is outstanding, and I'm thrilled to have a window into your gratitude world, which clearly is an important part of your daily activities.
Thank you,
So,
Jason.
so Scott Love, the president of the Attorney Search Group, grateful for you for being on the Relationships to Infinity Gratitude Challenge. Thank you,
Thank you
Scott.
very much. Thank you.